This is the diskette eject button. To remove a diskette from the system unit, press the eject button and pull the diskette from the drive. Now let's take a look at what happens when we turn the personal typing system on. The display on-off switch is located on the upper right side of the display. The system unit on-off switch is located on the front panel. When the system unit is turned on, it goes through a power-on self-test, or post. Post checks the circuits of the system unit. This is the IBM Personal Typing System Model 6900. The basic components of the Personal Typing System are the system unit, the keyboard, the display, and a printer. The system utilizes 3 1/2-inch diskettes for loading and storing programs and storing and retrieving data. The Personal Typing System attaches to a variety of printers and electronic typewriters. The IBM Correcting Wheelwriter printer and IBM Correcting QuietWriter printer are designed specifically for this system. These printers offer correction capability in the typewriter mode. Standard features of the Personal Typing System include a secretarial keyboard, which is labeled for word processing applications, 12-inch monochrome display with a tilt and swivel stand, 640 kilobytes of user memory, and the Personal Typing System can run programs written for use on IBM personal computers which use 3 1/2-inch diskettes. The heart of the Personal Typing System is a piece of software called the Personal Typing System Program, which comes on a 3 1/2-inch diskette. The Personal Typing System Program is an easy-to-use integrated secretarial program which allows the operator to choose from the following tasks. On the main menu we have Word Processor, Disk Functions, Set Date, Time, or Printer Type, How to Use Help, Using the Task key, and on the Select a Task menu we have Typewriter and Forms, Mail and Phone Lists, Phone Lookup, Scheduler, Day Schedule, Information Management, and Calculator. Optional features for the IBM Personal Typing System include a second 3 1/2-inch disk drive, a 20 megabyte fixed disk, and a high-resolution 12-inch color display. Documentation for the Personal Typing System consists of the user documentation, which covers everything from system setup to detailed instructions on how to perform individual tasks, and the hardware maintenance and service manual, which makes servicing this product very easy. We will be talking more about the hardware maintenance and service manual later in your training. We will now demonstrate some of the operator controls and features of the Personal Typing System. Let's first take a closer look at the diskette used for the Personal Typing System. This system uses a 3 1/2-inch diskette. Each diskette will hold approximately 750 kilobytes of information. The disk surface is completely enclosed in a protective covering. When the diskette is inserted into the disk drive, this metal covering is moved to the left, allowing the disk drive to read the diskette information. On the back side of the diskette is the Write Protect window. The window can be closed by sliding this tab. With the tab closed, information can be written onto the diskette. When the window is opened, no information can be written onto the diskette. When servicing, always be sure that the Write Protect window is open to protect the customer's data. To load a program diskette into the drive, Position the diskette so that the label is up and the arrow is pointing toward the system unit. When the diskette is fully inserted, it will latch into place. This is the diskette eject button. To remove a diskette from the system unit, press the eject button and pull the diskette from the drive. Now let's take a look at what happens when we turn the personal typing system on. The display on-off switch is located on the upper right side of the display. The system unit on-off switch is located on the front panel. When the system unit is turned on, it goes through a power-on self-test, or POST. POST checks the circuits of the system unit. The numbers in the upper left corner of the display indicate that the machine memory is being checked. When the count gets to 640, the check is complete. The power-on self-test lasts approximately 30 seconds. When POST is complete, the machine beeps once and the system unit begins to read information from the diskette. Whenever the diskette drive is in operation, the diskette drive in-use light comes on. Located on the upper left side of the display are the brightness control and the contrast control. The brightness control is adjusted so the background light on the display just disappears. The contrast control is adjusted for viewer comfort. The tilt swivel stand allows the operator to position the display up or down and left to right. Let's take a moment and see what happens when the system unit is turned on without a programmed diskette in the diskette drive. This graphic instructs us to install the diskette into the diskette drive and then press the F1 key. Key button F1 is a function key located in the upper left corner of the keyboard. Pressing F1 causes the machine to read the diskette we just loaded. The Personal Typing System program diskette offers the operator a complete secretarial workstation. Let's take a brief look at each of the program applications. The word processor is a powerful program that allows the operator to create, revise, emphasize, print, and store documents for future use. To view the other applications available, the operator presses the Control key and the Task key to bring up the Select a Task menu. The applications shown here are referred to as tasks. Let's briefly look at each of these tasks. Typewriter in Forms is actually two tasks combined into one. The typewriter task allows the operator to use the system as an advanced typewriter. This is useful in typing short memos, envelopes, and index cards quickly. The Forms task gives the operator the capability to fill in pre-printed forms quickly and reduce repetition. The forms can be created, saved, and then retrieved. If an IBM correcting printer or typewriter is connected, corrections can be made to text that has been printed. We will demonstrate the typewriter function of the Typewriter in Forms task later in this section. With mail and phone lists, the operator can create, add, update, search, and sort information in a list, combine and print lists, and merge lists with letters created in the word processor. The phone lookup task allows the operator to search a list for telephone numbers and addresses. Scheduler is a calendar managing program. Schedules can be created and maintained for many people, as well as searched and printed as needed. Days schedule is a condensed version of the scheduler task. It bypasses the scheduler menu to save time and also lets the operator easily call up any schedule in the scheduler. Information management allows the operator to organize the information which needs to be maintained in various types of lists. Calculator is a basic function calculator and adding machine. The Personal Typing System program has the capability of toggling between the word processor and one of the tasks from the Select a Task menu. The operator can alternate between them by pressing the task key. We will demonstrate this by first accessing the word processor, and then the typewriter task. In the typewriter task, text is printed as the characters are typed. Characters can also be corrected on the paper by pressing the backspace key. To return to word processor, simply press the task key. This takes you back to your document in the word processor. To alternate between word processor and a different task, press and hold the Control key and press the Task key. Let's select Calculator. You can now alternate between word processor and the newly selected task. Let's look at the other items listed on the main menu. With disk functions, the operator can format a diskette, make a backup, or use file management. Format is used to initialize a diskette so it can be used by the system. All new diskettes must be formatted before data can be stored on them. Backup is used to make backup copies of storage diskettes. Disk management is used to copy, rename, or erase files from a diskette. Set date, time, or printer type is a function that allows the operator to set the date and time in the system's internal clock and set up the system for the particular printer being used. Selecting number 2 brings up a menu which helps identify the printer being used by the system. Menu item number 4 shows how to use the Help key F1. Menu item number 5 gives added instructions in using the Task key. This completes the operator controls section of the video. The keyboard and display for the Model 6900 are both field replaceable units. This means that any keyboard failure requires replacing the entire keyboard, and any display failure requires replacing the entire display. For this reason, it is not necessary to go into any details about the keyboard and display at this time. Now let's take a look at the system unit to see the location of the major parts and component connectors. On the front of the system unit, we see the front panel, and the diskette drive bezel. Here we have removed the system unit cover in order to see inside the system unit. This is the left diskette drive mounting slot. When only one diskette drive is used, it is installed in the left mounting slot and is referred to as the A drive. If a second diskette drive is added to the system, it is installed in the right diskette drive mounting slot. The second drive is then referred to as the B drive. If a fixed disk is installed, it is mounted in the left slot and is referred to as the C drive. The A drive is then mounted in the right slot. The reason for this is that the fixed disk is larger than the diskette drives and will not fit in the right diskette drive mounting slot. Now let's see the other system components that are easily visible here. They are the A drive connector, the B drive connector, the diskette drive mounting plate, the internal clock battery mounting bracket, the clock battery connector, and the power supply. With the diskette drive mounting plate, and the power supply removed from the system unit, we can see the system board, the two 256K RAM memory module packages, and the A drive and B drive cables. Let's remove the A and B drive cables so we can see the connectors on the system board more easily. This is the keyboard connector J1. Note that the connector number is labeled on the system board next to the connector. These connector numbers on the system board will help you locate connectors when instructed to do so by the maps in the HMS. J2 is the connector for an optional pointing device or mouse. J3 is the parallel interface connector used to attach the printer cable to the system unit. J5 is the serial port which is not currently used by this system. J4 is the connector used to connect either a color or a monochrome display to the system unit. The J6 connector is where the internal clock battery is connected to the system board. J7 and J9 are the two power supply connectors. Connector J11 is where the cable for the optional fixed disc plugs into the system board. The A and B drive cable plugs into connector J12 on the system board. Finally, the two memory module packages are mounted in connector J13. This empty component socket labeled U13 on the system board is reserved for a component called a math coprocessor. When servicing the system, you may be asked to check this component socket to see if the math coprocessor is installed on the system board. This completes the component location video session. The Power On self-test, or POST, is initiated each time the system is turned on. POST lasts approximately 30 seconds, and during that time checks the system board, system memory, the video interface, the keyboard, the diskette drive, the fixed disk if one is installed, and the parallel port where the printer attaches to the system. Now let's watch the Power On self-test and observe the steps of POST which give audio and visual feedback. The covers and drive bezel have been removed so we can see the power supply fan and the diskette drive. When the power is turned on, the power supply fan comes on. This is not visible with the covers on, but you should be able to hear it. Shortly after the power is turned on, the display comes up showing the memory check in the upper left corner. When the memory count reaches 640, the diskette drive is turned on momentarily. This is indicated by the drive LED lighting and the sound of the drive motor. Approximately 4 seconds after the drive LED goes off, the system unit beeps once. This indicates that the Power On self-test completed successfully. If a problem is detected during POST, the system will beep twice and display an error code which indicates the area of the failure. Below the error code is the instruction resume equals F1 key. When the F1 key is pressed, the system unit bypasses the error and attempts to complete POST. If a critical error is encountered, the system will not be able to complete POST. Now let's see what happens after the system completes POST. When there is a diskette in the diskette drive when post ends, the system will attempt to load an operating system. If the operating system loads successfully, the system will then load any programs that are on the diskette. If there is no diskette in the drive, or if the diskette in the diskette drive has no operating system on it, this icon will appear after post has completed. The purpose of this icon is to tell you to load a diskette which has an operating system stored on it and press F1 to boot the system. If a diskette is not loaded when this icon is on the display and F1 is pressed, the system will come up in BASIC and the display will look like this. To get out of BASIC, just load a program diskette and press the Control, Alternate, and Delete keys as shown. This causes the system to boot the program diskette. This completes our discussion of the Power On self-test. Now stop the videotape and return to your workbook. The Advanced Diagnostic Diskette contains diagnostic and utility programs which can help you when diagnosing system problems. When the Advanced Diagnostic Diskette is loaded, the Select an Option menu appears on the display. We are going to discuss the system checkout in a minute, but let's first take a moment to discuss the other menu items on this screen. Menu Item 1, Format, allows you to format new diskettes when necessary. Menu Item 2, Copy Diskette, allows you to make a backup copy of a diskette when needed. You will probably want to use the Copy Diskette function to make a copy of your Advanced Diagnostic Diskette. Menu Item 3 is used to prepare the system to be moved. Menu Item 4 is used to set the time and date in the internal clock. Menu Item 9 is used to quit the diagnostic program. Now let's select Menu Item 0, System Checkout, and press Enter. It takes approximately 15 seconds to complete the system checkout. When the checkout is complete, this screen showing a list of the installed devices for the system is displayed. If the list of installed devices is correct, type a Y to indicate that the list is correct and press Enter. This is the menu that comes up after the installed devices have been verified. Let's continue by selecting Menu Item 0, Run Test one time, and press Enter. The menu shown here gives a list of tests that can be selected to help isolate machine failures. In order to select one of these tests, simply type the number of the desired test and press Enter. Then follow the directions that appear on the display. The maps in the HMS will isolate most machine failures, but if you have an intermittent failure, the test on the Advanced Diagnostic Diskette will be helpful to you. Let's see how we perform the display self-test. The first step is to turn off the system unit and the display. The display should remain off for approximately 5 minutes before continuing with the test. After the 5 minutes are over, disconnect the display cable from the system unit. Next, turn the display on, set the contrast control to its highest position, and set the brightness control in its middle position. The image on the screen should be white in the center, with a black strip along one or both sides as shown here. This indicates that the display is good. This completes the display self-test. We will begin by removing the system covers. In order to remove the covers from the system unit, be sure the power is turned off, and then open the right side cover and remove it from the machine as shown. Loosen the two mounting screws that hold the top cover to the power supply. Next, remove the two cover mounting screws from the left side of the machine . Then slide the cover to the rear and lift it off the machine. With the cover removed from the system unit and the line cord, printer cable, keyboard cable, and display cable disconnected, let's see how the power supply is removed. Start by removing these two mounting screws from the rear of the power supply. Lift the power supply up and move it to the rear so you can reach the power supply connectors. Unplug the two power supply connectors and lift the power supply from the machine. These are plugs P9 and P7, which plug into connectors J9 and J7 on the system board. While we have the power supply out of the machine, let's see how we locate and change two fuses in the power supply. In order to locate or change the fuses, remove the 6 power supply cover mounting screws. Be careful not to damage the power supply fan wires as you lift the cover off the power supply. Unplug the fan connector. Fuse F1 is located next to the on-off switch, and fuse F2 is located near the power supply fan connector J1. When you change a fuse, be sure to replace it with a fuse of equal value. To reinstall the power supply, place the power supply in the machine and plug in connectors P7 and P9. Finally, install the two power supply mounting screws. When a fixed disk is to be used on a machine, it must be installed in the left diskette drive mounting slot. The fixed disk cannot be installed in the right diskette drive slot because it would interfere with the power supply fan. This means that the A drive must be moved to the right diskette drive slot. Let's see how this is accomplished. We begin by removing the diskette drive. First, remove the diskette drive bezel by pushing down on the bezel latches as shown, tipping it top to front, and lifting the bezel from the machine. Then remove the bezel from the right diskette drive mounting slot in the same manner. Next, disconnect the diskette drive connector. Push up on the diskette drive latch and slide the drive out through the front of the machine. Unplug the battery cable and then remove the diskette drive mounting plate screw. Tip the rear of the diskette drive mounting plate up and lift it from the machine. Next, we fold the cable for diskette drive B out of the way. This cable will not be used. Plug the connector for the fixed disk drive cable into connector J11 on the system board as shown. Now route the cable for diskette drive A to the right side of the machine. Install the diskette drive mounting plate. Then install the diskette drive in the right diskette drive slot by sliding the diskette drive into the drive mounting slot until the latch snaps into place. Then connect the diskette drive cable. Install the fixed disk in the left diskette drive slot as shown, and then connect the cable. Connect the battery cable. Now install the diskette drive bezel in the right drive mounting slot and install the fixed disk bezel in the left mounting slot. To remove the system board, start by removing the power supply, the diskette drives, and the diskette drive mounting plate. These are the two 256K memory module packages that plug into the system board. To remove a memory module package, unlatch the two memory module package latches and lift the module out of the connector. When installing a memory module package, be sure it is fully seated on the system board and that the latches are holding it in place. To continue the system board removal, unplug the A and B drive cable from the system board. Now remove the battery adapter card and cable. Remove the 5 system board mounting screws shown here. Finally, slide the system board to the rear and tip the front of the board up and lift the board from the machine. To reinstall the system board, set it in place and install the 5 mounting screws. Next, install the battery adapter card and cable into the J6 connector on the system board. Reconnect the diskette drive cable to connector J12 on the system board. Install the diskette drive mounting plate. Tuck the B drive cable under the diskette drive mounting plate to prevent it from interfering with the power supply fan. Reconnect the battery cable and install the diskette drive and the power supply. This completes the removals and replacements. The symptom for this first problem is that post ends with an error code consisting of 12 characters followed by a 201 memory error. To begin diagnosing this problem, we open the HMS to map 100, which is the start map. This information above step 1 in the map says that if an error code is displayed, take the action indicated by the error message chart. In this case, we have a 201 memory error. For an error code beginning with 2, the error code chart tells us to go to map 130. Step 1 tells us to insert the advanced diagnostic diskette into the diskette drive and turn the power on. When we do this, post ends with a 201 error again. The question in step 1 asks us if we received a 205 error code during post. The error code we received was a 201, so we answer this question no. The no leg of the map tells us to go to step 4 of this map. Step 4 asks if we received a 12-character code followed by a 3-digit error code, the first 2 numbers being 2 and 0. We did get a 12-character code followed by an error code of 201. So we answered the question yes. The yes leg of the map sends us to step 11 in this map. The question in step 11 asks if the last 4 characters in the 12-character code are all zeros. The last 2 characters were 1 and 0, so we answer this question no. The no leg sends us to step 16 in this map. Step 16 asks if the last 2 characters of the 12-character code are zeros. Again, the last 2 characters were 1 and 0, so we answer the question no. The no leg sends us to an instruction telling us to replace memory module package number 2 on the system board. After replacing the memory module, we run the diagnostic tests on the advanced diagnostic diskette to verify the fix. The symptom for this problem is that when the power is turned on, nothing happens. There is no error code displayed, so we go to step 1 in the start map. Turn the system off, check connectors for proper installation, insert the advanced diagnostic diskette, then turn the system on. Step 1 then asks, is the power supply fan running? We cannot hear the fan running. So we answer the question no. The no leg tells us to go to step 48. The power outlet is good, so we go to step 50. The power cord is good. This takes us to step 52. Step 52 tells us to check for a voltage of from 4.7 to 5.3 volts DC between pins 1 and 5 on connector P7. Pin 5 is the ground pin on this connector. The meter reads 0 volts. So we answer the question no. The no leg sends us to map 110, which is the power map. Step 1 tells us to remove all cables and devices except for the display. Then turn the power on. The symptom remains the same. So we answer the question yes and go to step 3. Step 3 asks us to check the voltage between pins 1 and 5 on connector P7 again. The reading is still 0 volts. So we answer the question no. The no leg sends us to step 7. This step tells us to remove the diskette drive cable from the diskette drive. And turn the system on. The symptom remains the same. Because the symptom did not change, we follow the yes leg to step 9. Step 9 tells us to reconnect the diskette drive cable and perform the same procedure for any remaining drives. We have only one drive installed, so we will follow the yes leg in step 9. Step 11 asks if we have a math coprocessor installed in the system. When we check the receptacle on the system board, we see that there is no math coprocessor installed on the board. The no leg sends us to step 15. Step 15 tells us to turn the power off, wait 10 seconds, turn the power on, and then check the power supply voltage between pins 1 and 5 on connector P7 again. We still find 0 volts here. So we follow the no leg to step 18. Step 18 tells us to disconnect power supply connector P7 from connector J7 on the system board. Then turn the power on and check the voltage between pins 1 and 5 on P7. We find that we still get a reading of 0 volts here. So we follow the no leg. Here we are told to replace the power supply. Before replacing a power supply, check the 2 power supply fuses. If you find a blown fuse, replace it with a fuse of the same value, and then plug connectors P7 and P9 into the system board. Reconnect the devices removed earlier and turn the power on. If the advanced diagnostic menu comes up on the display, verify the fix and end the service call. In problem number 3, post ends with an error code of 601 diskette drive error. Because we have an error code displayed, we go to the error code chart on the first page of map 100. The chart tells us that for an error code beginning with 6, go to map 160. The first step in map 160 asks if we received a 602 error code. We received a 601 error code, not a 602, so we follow the no leg which sends us to step 4 of this map. Here we are asked if the LED on the diskette drive came on before the beep at the end of post. Let's watch the LED as the machine goes through post again. The LED did come on before the beep, so we follow the yes leg to step 6. The LED did not stay lit, so we follow the no leg, which sends us to step 18 of this map. Step 18 asks if the diagnostic menu is displayed. We answer this question no, and go to step 21 in this map. In step 21, we are asked to load our backup copy of the diagnostic diskette. We still do not get the diagnostic menu. Again, we follow the no leg. This time, the no leg sends us to step 68. We have only one drive installed in the system, so we answer this step no, and continue with step 81 in this map. In step 81, we are told to take voltage readings on pins 38 and 40 of the diskette drive cable. Pin 38 should read from 4.5 to 5.5 volts DC, so the voltage on pin 38 is correct. Pin 40 should read from 11.5 to 12.5 volts DC. The voltage on pin 40 is also correct. So we answer step 81, yes. The yes leg takes us to step 83. Here we are told to perform a continuity check of the diskette drive cable. This group of wires from pin 10 to pin 16 on the A side of the drive cable are twisted 180 degrees. Thus, the pin numbering is not consecutive. When performing this continuity check, make sure you use the correct pin numbering. The continuity check indicates that all of the lines have continuity. So we answer step 83, yes. The yes leg leads us to the instruction to replace the failing diskette drive.